Oh, ready to roll. Go ahead.
When you and Tyler were putting together this roster, one of the goals was to build competition, increase competition across the board. I know you named a number one quarterback going into camp, but it looks like a lot of jobs have been still up for grabs. Has that played out the way you wanted it to?
For the most part, yes.
Competition.
Yes, there's been a ton of competition. Now, injury has impacted some of that, where we haven't had the consistent competition just because guys have been in and out of the lineup. But overall, all the guys are being pushed. You know, even a guy like Boley, who's been a starting left tackle for 3 years, he's getting pushed, you know, in practice to be better. Across the board, say with Noah Josie, even at center position, Drake's done a really good job of jumping in there at center and creating some competition. And on defense, the defensive line is extremely competitive, both interior and on the edges. Linebacker is a little bit thin right now, just because of some of the injuries. We anticipate getting one of the guys back here pretty soon. One maybe a few weeks into the season. But overall, it's a lot more competitive out at practice, which is a good thing.
I know Danny Kalen gets plenty of snaps, but has the quarterback division of labor worked the way you hoped it would, with Chandler being number
right.
one?
With the quarterbacks, I'm really pleased with the progress that both of them are making, the competition that we have daily. You're seeing improvement. Just still, you know, Chandler getting comfortable with the guys and kind of pushing him to just do the little things from a leadership standpoint, because fundamentally he's really sound. He has a good command. Now it's kind of like I told him, just, hey, man, you drive the ship, push your guys, the tempo, the little things, the gamesmanship. And then Danny's done a really good job in the pocket. You know, he had been a little bit too happy with his feet in the pocket, moving around and making it tough on the offensive line. He's improved there. He got a lot of work with the first group in the scrimmage because he's earned it. And then also, too, I mean, I think he's a guy that's going to have to play for us. So we got to figure out what that looks like. But he's earned that right. And so we got to get both of them prepared to go.
You mentioned the injuries at linebacker. What's the status of Cam Robinson?
Yeah. So Cam, first day of full pads contact, which was day number 7, took a shot on the collarbone and reported it, and then there was a big old knot, and we're like, okay, we got to look at this, and did an X-ray, and it showed something, but nothing significant. But we said, hey, let's be careful. So we did a CT scan, and there was a slight fracture that was developing. So the best thing to do was to go ahead and get it fixed now, as opposed to waiting till it goes out in the season. So we anticipate he'll be down for a couple of weeks. I think he gets the stitches out this week, and then he'll be back into conditioning. Obviously, they had to put a plate in and some screws, so it's fixed. Now we just got to get him back in football shape. But it could be a couple games in before he's ready to roll, because he won't get the stitches out till this week.
And other guys, Antonio Clary,
Yep.
Trail Harris, Hunter Osborne, how long are some of those guys?
So Clary, we anticipated that it would be the end of August before, you know, he was really cleared to go, which means he's got a couple weeks to get himself in shape, ready to go. I anticipate Trail will be ready to go by the time we kick off, and the same thing with Hunter Osborne. You got an ankle and a hamstring, so those aren't significant. And Hunter's out the boot, running on dry land, so I anticipate it'll be another week. Same thing with Makai. Makai had a little bit more severe high ankle sprain than Hunter, but I anticipate, you know, later this week those guys will be kind of integrating back into practice, and by the time we flip to next week, they should be full go. Same thing with Trail, Davis Lane, same thing. So right now we're really nursing more of the soft tissue ankles that are typical of camp, and Cam would be the only one that's, you know, an extended amount of time. But it's not like it's going to cost him the season or too many games.
Hey, Coach. First off, I'm Jackson from Caps Corner. Great
Nice
to
to
talk
meet
to
you,
you.
Jackson.
Yeah, nice to meet you. You know, we got to hear you kind of address the team after warm-ups. Just talk a little bit about.
Oh, today?
Yeah. Today.
Oh, y'all out there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we saw a little bit. You know, you kind
I
of
didn't use any bad words. All right.
You did not. You know,
I got to pay for those. So
Yeah.
so I'm trying to set a good example.
You know,
Go
gave
ahead,
a
I'm
little
sorry.
kick in the pants there. But just talk a little bit about what is your messaging to the team as you start to kind of reach the end of preseason camp and transition back into classes and back into that first game
Right.
week.
So we had a guest speaker come in, C.L. Shepard, and he's, you know, internationally known. He speaks to a lot of football programs. And he had a great message, and he gave us a word which turned into an acronym, but the word was press. So we got to press. Now is not the time to let up off the gas, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Man, we got to sprint through the finish line. And that is also symbolic of what we're going to have to do in the fourth quarter. We're going to have to press to go win games, find ways to win and not to lose. And I think it all goes back to how you approach practice. And today they had a tough week last week. So I think I counted it up. In 14 days, they had 11 contact practices, and 2 of those being full scrimmages. So I mean that's a lot of banging for a football player. You think about a football player, they play once a week, and then they only have 2 days during the week where they even put full pads on. And we were out there 11 out of 14 with shoulder pads banging. So their bodies are hurting a little bit. But you got to build that callus right now for the season. And so coming off an off day on Sunday, now they kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. They know camp's going to break midweek, and we got our Cav Bowl, and then the students are going to be back in town. So they kind of are anticipating that, but we got to focus and we got to press. And so that was me just challenging the guys and pointing out some of the little detail things, right, that on day one we're not going to miss because we're fresh. But even when we're tired, mentally, we still got to have the same state of mind. The body may be tired, but the mind can't be. And so that's really what this morning was with the guys. And the same message after practice, man, we got to press. Keep pressing. This is when growth really takes place in these kind of days. And I told them that, the good Lord has taken it easy on them with the weather. So we have to figure out how to create that adversity because it's going to come. And we need to be able to play through it.
Yeah, the last couple of years, you've spoken a lot about the need to defend Scott Stadium better. Have you talked about that maybe more this offseason? I think 4 of the first 5 are at home this year. Have you talked about that more? And do you think this team is equipped to do that?
Right. So this is a whole different team because there's 54 new ones that have never been in Scott Stadium other than the scrimmages. So I haven't talked about it as much yet, other than the days that we're over there, and just really trying to create the mindset that the grass is sacred, that there's blood, sweat, and tears equity from a lot of guys that came before us that have created a standard that we have to uphold. And so that's been the messaging up to this point. And then as we break camp and we really start to focus on the first game, we'll talk a lot more about that. But I have a sense that this group is going to take pride in it, and the previous groups did as well. I think the difference in defending Scott Stadium is in the fourth quarter finding ways to win and not beat yourself. So we got to be a more disciplined football team. I think depth will help us, be a football team that can finish better in the fourth quarter because we got guys that haven't played, 100 snaps, right? As much as we're talking about building competitive stamina, like the body just it's gonna slow down after about 100 snaps. So I think depth will help us, be a little bit fresher. And you notice the teams that are really good in the fourth quarter, a lot of times because they got a lot of depth and they can play guys. And they're the fresher team in the fourth quarter, and then they can lean on people. So those are a couple of things that I think we got to do better, right? And I anticipate this group is going to take pride in that.
And then at cornerback, have you had anybody emerge there in terms of guys who could be your starter at corner?
Yeah, great question. We're trying to figure that out because we did have Manny down for a little bit with the knee, but he's been back full speed last couple of days. When I say Manny, I mean Carnley. He was down, and then we had Platt down with a hamstring for a little bit, and Kevon had an ankle, and so we just haven't had the consistency back there. Now, talent-wise, I think we definitely got some guys that can help us. And this week right here will be big, coming off of the scrimmage. So Robinson, Platt, Carnley, Kevon, Sanker, all the guys were available for the scrimmage, which is good for us. Now, you could see in the scrimmage that the effect of some guys not having as many practice reps, and it showed up in the scrimmage. But this is the week now where we got to do our best job as coaches to help get them up to speed. And we're not going to have as much of the physical aspect to do it, which I think will be good for the guys because then we can slow the game down and get them prepared mentally. But we got what we need. We just got to get it figured out, and we don't have a definitive set guys yet just because of the way camp's going. Three of those guys have been out for a little bit of time.
Hey, Coach, just thinking about where you guys were at the start of fall camp to where you are now nearing the end of it, what areas have you seen the most improvement in so far?
The guys are really learning how to practice. We're doing a much better job of getting full speed work without being on the ground. That's been, and that's why I think we've been, we haven't had as many concussions, knock on wood. We haven't had as many shoulders as we've had in the past because guys are practicing better. We've taken advantage of every single day, and so you're seeing some consistency. Today I got after him this morning, and some of it as my job is to see an opportunity. So it wasn't as much as they weren't doing what they were supposed to, but they gave me an opportunity, and I had to capitalize, right, to get them ready to go. And that's my job, right, because they're going to go, but we needed a certain level of intensity, and it's my job to help there. But they came out and had a really good practice today. They were getting better in understanding situational football and really what it takes to win at the end of the game with some of our 4-minute stuff and some of our 2-minute. We had really good 2-minute work in the stadium on Saturday, and then we had some good 4-minute work here today. So I think we're getting better there, and the leadership of the team is starting to really emerge, which is going to be key because at the end of the day, situation or no situation, if you don't have good leadership, it doesn't matter.
And we got to talk with Sage Ennis last week, and he was just talking about how eager he is to get back out there after his 2 ACL injuries. So what have you just seen from him, like growth and development through that, and also just getting to see him back out there on the field soon?
I think dealing with the injury off the field, it's really challenged him from a leadership standpoint. He's probably one of the best. He is one of the best leaders we got on the team, and you really start to see that. And physically, he looks good. He's back to running the way that I used to see him run as a young guy. He looks comfortable with his redirect. So I think he's getting back football-wise where he wants to be, and then the leadership is where I've seen the most growth.
You guys held another scrimmage on Saturday. Where have you seen this team progress from one week to the other, and what do you still want to see?
Right. So first, for scrimmage 1 and scrimmage 2, we didn't turn the ball over on offense, which I'm happy, but then at the same time, I want defense to create turnovers, right? But when you can come out of it and the offense doesn't turn the ball over and not putting it in jeopardy much is a real positive, because that's probably the number one stat that really matters in football is the turnover margin. And we have not done a good job there. So I've seen growth there. We're just more consistent with execution, and so now it's just coming down to winning one-on-one matchups, right? So overall, guys are in position for the most part. All the offensive guys are going in the same direction on the same page, and so now we can really focus on the fundamental aspect. Whereas in the past, you got to correct a lot of different schematic things. It takes time away from correcting the fundamentals. So we've just been a lot smoother. The guys know how to practice. As I said before, seeing some explosives, which you don't want to see, but at the same time too, when you're playing freshman corners, you should have some explosive plays when you have older veteran wideouts. So you take that into consideration. But overall, I feel like we've been able to get really good work in the stadium in both scrimmages, take care of the ball, come out relatively healthy. I think Grayson Reed was the only one, just twisted his ankle. He was the only one in a almost 90-100 play scrimmage with special teams and special teams being live. And so I think that's a testament to the guys practicing the right way even when we go live. So just making progress, as a program, holistically in the efficiency of our practice, the flow, the coordination. We're taking advantage of it. We're not wasting time. And intentionally, I kept them out there for a while, right? We were out there for a good long time on Saturday, and it got hot. The sun came out there. And I wanted to see what this team was going to do. And this team, they didn't spit the bit. All right. Now, were there things we got to clean up? Absolutely. But you didn't see guys trying to tap out. You didn't see guys trying to find the sideline. And Saturday was by far the hardest day that we've had all camp.
When you have a hard day like that in the scrimmage, you finally get to see the depth and the trenches on both sides and how much you have and how much comfortable you are rotating those guys in? Yeah,
no doubt. And there were some plays that the offense got excited about that they made that if it were live, that quarterback was going to be hit by some of them D linemen. So that was good to see. So you want the offense to be happy, but at the same time, too, I'm happy because I see that Mitchell was right there on one of them. Fisher was right there on one of them. You're starting to see some disruption, up front, different levels on the run game that they're creating, which forces backs to stop their feet. So I was excited to see that, and I feel like we should be able to roll with like 10 guys, 5 at each position, 5 interior and 5 guys on the edge that we can roll throughout the course of the game to keep guys fresh, and then we can change up looks. And we can get some heavier guys on the edge and some packages. We can do a lot more things than we've done in the past because we have that depth.
Yeah. You mentioned Mitchell there, and then also Jane Thomas. What have you seen since you've had them here since last spring? Just kind of that experience that they come with from bigger programs that have had success. What have their experience added to the team?
Both of those guys that you referenced, Mitchell and we call him JT. They're quiet guys by nature, but you're starting to see their play talk loudly, and that was one thing with Mitchell. I had to challenge him and said, "Hey man, you might have came from where you came from and been a guy that was in the rotation, a depth guy, but here, man, you're gonna be a leader, and that's I think why you came here, and you want to be a great player." So he's really embracing that. He's practicing a lot better, more consistent from start to finish. I'm starting to see him lead his guys, and then JT transformed his body this offseason, playing a lot faster, a lot more confident. And JT's not going to say much, but he's going to show up every single day. But I'm pretty sure down there in the locker room, in their moments with their buddies, they're getting questions about what it was like, and they can speak to it. Unless you've been there, it's hard to describe it. And then when you've been there, it's still hard to describe it. But man, it's different.
Then also, I know you've talked about your relationship with Chandler and Chad before, but over your course of your career, since y'all last worked with each other in Clemson, what do y'all? How often do y'all communicate or talk or catch up or just about anything?
So prior to Chandler, it was I wouldn't say it was real frequent. Like we would catch up a couple times a year, just staying in touch because I know he was busy and I was busy. Now he does a good job of kind of towing that line because even though with our relationship, you still got to be dad. I know he talks with the offensive staff a lot because he's also working with the company that provides services to colleges as well. But he's done a good job of providing some insight, but at the same time, trying to make it about Chandler and not about he and I's relationship. And same thing with Chandler. I've tried to make sure that, man, Chandler's his own man, and he is, and he's earned that. Like, I mean, take the relationship out of it. Like, we were going to go try and get Chandler anyway, right, because of who he was and his production and what he could bring to our football team. And it just so happened that there was a relationship, but that wasn't the only reason that Chandler came here. Like, he did a thorough evaluation of the program and the people and decided that it wasn't just Coach Elliott. It was the coaches and the players that he wanted to be a part of. So I try to be mindful of that and make sure that I keep it, more of a coach-player relationship than, the relationship of knowing him since he was, a young kid.
He says you still call him Chan Man, though?
Chan Man at times. I catch myself, though. I catch myself there. Well, and his dad still calls him that a little bit, too. So, but I do notice that, and I recognize that, and I'm like, you know what? I probably just need to call him Chandler, right?
Can you talk a little bit about how comfortable you are with your running game right now and where it stands?
Yeah, that was something that was positive about the scrimmage is we were able to establish some efficient, run game, and I think we got a chance to be much bigger than we've been in the past with the additions up front. So we got a little bit more size where we can, lean on some people on some double teams in some of our run game and create a new line of scrimmage. The backs have done a really good job. I think, Jamari Taylor shows something a little bit different. And then X is as good as X has been. And really, really happy for him and proud for him because he's been there available every single day and hasn't shown any signs of durability issues. Harrison's been a really good addition. And then Noah Vaughn's doing a really good well. So we feel good that we got 4 running backs that can play in all situations and not have much of a drop off. And then with Josie and Boley on the left side, I mean you just like that left side's been kind of steady for us for the last couple of years. And then Brady's been a great addition, right? And his athleticism allows us to be able to run the wide zone. And then with the size on the inside, especially when you get Sipe in there You know, you got Sipe at 315, 320. You got Big Wallace at 340. We're hoping that he comes down a little bit, but he's 340. And so we got some size. And so now, and we're athletic enough to be able to reach some people. So it gives us some flexibility. So I like the potential that we have. Now we got to go see it against other people and different schemes, but so far we've been targeted right, which is a positive. So all those guys have taken ownership of the scheme to know where we're going. The wide receivers have taken a lot of ownership in their responsibility in the run game because explosive runs come when the wide receivers block and do what they're supposed to do. And so you're starting to see some of that. So in both scrimmages, we've seen some explosive runs out of different backs, which tells you that there's some consistency up front, and it's not just one guy having all the big runs. So I feel, you know, I'm encouraged. I'm really encouraged about our ability to effectively run the football as opposed to years past.
And how important is it that Dakota and the other tight ends function to their best? Because is that really what makes your offense click?
It is. I mean, because at the end of the day, you want to run your quarterback, but you don't want to run your quarterback too much. And if you don't have a tight end that can come in there and cut off the C gap and divide zone and hold off the opposite side C gap, then your quarterback's now going to have to become a runner. And so their ability to block in the box gives us the ability to force the ball into the hands of the running back more and not letting the defense dictate it on the edges. So that's huge. And then that transitions into play pass. So now they're going to have to be effective in play pass. And then when you need to, stay out in 10 personnel sets where you only got one back in the backfield, which is the running back, you can do that as well. But we're not going to live in that world. We're not built to live in that world. That's where John Rodgers has to take the next step, which he's showing signs of that. Kai Kirby's got to take the next step. And then we got to get these young pups ready to go, because that position really in the college style of offense, so to speak, and even in the pros nowadays, is the glue that holds everything together. That is the position. Like, they don't get talked about enough, but I like to call them the core of the offense, right? Nobody likes to work their core, but Lord have mercy, let that core not be strong or something happen with that core. You really, really feel it. It makes everything else go. So yes, you're exactly right. That tight end position is pivotal to our success, both in the run game and the pass game. And they've made a couple of plays in the pass game too, some big explosive plays out there in the scrimmage on Saturday.
Got time for one more.
Yeah, at safety, the last couple of years, you've kind of had a safety lead the team in tackles
Yeah.
the last couple of years. Can Devin Neal potentially be that guy for you? What have you seen from him through this training camp?
In reference to that question, I'm hopeful that our linebackers lead us, because that means the D-line is doing their job and freeing them up to go make plays, right? I think what's happened is, you know, the D-line was getting blocked, the linebackers were getting blocked, and now the safeties have to make the play, right? So I'm hopeful that, you know, we're putting the backers in a better position to come downhill and make plays, because we're commanding double teams with that D-line. But I think Devin Neal can do that. He was an all-ACC player 2 years ago, and he's playing fast. He's confident. He's down some footballs in the scrimmage on Saturday. So excited about him. We got Christian Charles back, which I think is going to be big. Pravard's doing a good job. Coy Costner is kind of working his way up the depth chart to being a guy that's going to contribute. Mentor's probably playing as good as I think he had a pick today. Had a pick in practice today, and he's gotten his hand on a couple of balls, and he flies in there with reckless abandon. So with what we've had so far, those guys are doing a good job, and then we're excited to get Clary back. We're excited I think Charles will be turned loose this week from his calf, and so I think we're getting healthy at the safety position at the right time, and we'll have some flexibility with those guys.